Hello, my name is Paul Bellingary, and this is my demo for my animation converter. To start you off, I'm just going to walk you through a couple different structs that I made in order to help organize all the data within the import scene project. So I have here a my bone struct, and that's just going to have the name of the bone, the index of its parent, and then a this pointer that I'll explain a little bit later that helps me organize the hierarchy. The bone header, which just contains our general information of number of bones, number of animations, how many keyframes, the end times. The frame bucket, the bone, and then animation, which is just a list of the list of frame buckets that we have. That helps me pull in different animations depending on how many each FBX file has. So here is the hierarchy of all the bones. This one was pretty simplistic to put together. All it was pulling the name of the node out, and then whatever node it is, looking at the parent and looking for that name in the already created list, and then saving that index to the struct. This one is pretty simplistic, probably the easiest part of the project. Here inside of my display animation file, you can see the bucket list, which is the list of frame buckets, saving all of our different bone data here. So I can go ahead and build this real quick. And then show you here we have my animation converter. I have a simple batch file that helps me create all my .anim files real quick. It takes an extra second here because I use the Teddy file, and the Teddy file, since it has two different animations, is pretty lengthy of a conversion. And then you can see here in the background all the different .bin and .blow files that I created to help organize all the information that can then be extracted inside the engine. Give it a second to delete all those files. Alright, presto, and then I have another batch file that simply just copies all those .anim files into my engine folder. Then we can go into my engine real quick. I'll walk you through how I was able to extract the information and how I did that on my engine. What I ended up doing was creating an animation manager class, and that holds what I named animation nodes. Each node is what holds the data for each file. So when you go to add, you use the file name, and then everything in that one file is in one node. So here we have the creation of the new node. We get the name of it, which is just the file name. We pull out the header information with number of bones, number of samples, that kind of stuff. We create the list of animations. Like I said, the Teddy has two animations. The other two FBXs I used were just simple one animation. Here we go through and fill in all of the frame bucket information, which is more or less just the key time data. And then this nested for loop helps fill in the bone data for each one of the frame buckets. And then here's some basic bookkeeping, our current frame to help keep track of when switching animations, the results for when interpolating in between the two frame buckets. Here, set animation hierarchy. This is what's going to create our hierarchy of our bones. So here you can see I pull out one bone list, and then using that data down here, you can see that I have the bone list .parent index back into the bone list, and then this pointer is what is simply pointing back to the game object that was created. And then the return data is actually what is the first bone, which is not the root, which is helpful when, again, interpolating in between frames. So process animation is the same. It just lerps and slurps in between 2 frames depending on what time it is. And then we have inserting the animation node into the manager. So go ahead and open this real quick. We're going to start off with the sword slicing guy, I guess. And then what I ended up doing was that I used the minus and plus keys that allow me to speed him up or slow him down, and then go backwards. And then if you notice that he'll give him with his hands up in the air, I can also pause it. So backwards, forwards. And then, so I'm going to hit the space bar to switch cameras, and I will say that here are a couple bugs that are being introduced. Obviously, you can see that this is the walking teddy bear. He glitches every, I think it's like 2 frames within his frame bucket. I have spent hours within the debugger, and I could not find why he does that. I compared his data to the data that was in the text file that the animation converter pulled out. They all seemed correct. My lerp and slurps are correct to where they wouldn't interpolate that. You can see that he freezes. He has the weird this going on. But I was able to, if I hit the A button, he's going to go ahead and switch to his idle. And then my camera controls still work as well. So then I can go ahead and switch over again. And then we see the running guy. And then I will say again, another bug that I have is unfortunately with every, what was I going to say? With every animation that you try to put into the engine, only the most recent one is the one that plays. So I kind of jerry-rigged it in a way so I could show you what was going on. But here, I'll show you really quick. So I made sure that the game objects were being inserted into the, excuse me, I'm exhausted. All the game objects were inserted into the hierarchy properly, into the game manager. I made sure that they were all being touched base on when draw and update were being called. I made sure all the animation nodes were being touched on when the animation manager was being updated. And I could not for the life of me figure out why only one would load at a time. So like I said, I jerry-rigged it to where when you first start off, you have the sword guy, and then I have down here is when I go to change cameras. The first time this guy gets added in, and then later on is right here the running guy. It's the best I could do. I was pretty confused since we didn't program all of it together. I found it pretty difficult to debug. I tried my best to figure out where the errors were coming from, but unfortunately was not able to. So this is the best I got. Thank you. Have a good summer.